Hey everyone, Chris Tilson here. If you're running a pet care business, you know that predictable revenue and customer loyalty can make all the difference. Today, I'm talking with Britt, the owner of the Barkyard, about how she built a membership model that not only boosts revenue, but also improves the experience for pet parents and their pets. Whether you're thinking about launching your own membership model or refining a current one, this conversation's packed with insights that you won't want to miss. Let's dive in. Welcome, Brett. Great to have you. And I really appreciate you taking some time to talk with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is fun. I love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no shortage of strategies and tactics that go on in the pet care industry, and love kind of hearing how other facilities approach these things. Could you maybe start off and just share how you got started in pet care? Just an overview of your facility and the services that you offer?
So we actually got started in a little bit of a different way. My husband and I own a fairly well-known dog rescue in Maine called Pity Posse Rescue. We've owned it for about 9 years. We're at over 800 dogs served. So we've been in the local dog community for many years. And it was through the local dog community and through our volunteers and through kind of just having an ear to the ground in the industry that we heard of things happening in other doggy daycares that we didn't agree with. We're very, very, it's very essential to our core mission that we provide fear and force-free care. And a lot of daycares were not doing that. And we just kind of didn't have a place where we could recommend to adopters for daycare, for training, for boarding. And we got the idea to open up a doggy daycare. So it took us about 2 years to open the Barkyard. We had trouble finding a spot. We had nightmares with permitting and the state fire marshal, and it took a while. But we're actually we're coming up on 2 years this March. And that was really our introduction to the dog industry, was through the rescue.
That's awesome. Obviously, it sounds like there were some potential hiccups out of the gate, but what about like just operationally on the day to day? What are some challenges that you face in running that business, and how do you see that business, your business, evolving over the next few years?
Yeah, so we're a full service daycare. We offer daycare, boarding, training, and very light grooming. Really only for our clients' dogs. We don't do outside grooming. That is, it's got massive moving pieces, and that's difficult. Staffing, while not as much of a challenge as I've seen for some folks in many of the daycare groups that I'm in, it is a bit of a challenge keeping up, keeping the whole labor payroll costs to revenue in balance, or at least not going off the deep end. I think that over the next few years, we really want to branch out. We'd love a second facility, maybe in Maine, maybe in Georgia, where we have a huge rescue presence. So it would kind of feed two birds with one hand to have something in Georgia, maybe in both. But we really, we're so behind the mission to create really safe fear and force-free care for dogs that is reliable and that takes into account their emotional as well as their physical well-being, that I can't see us not opening at least a second facility and growing that way.
Very cool. Very cool. I think what you have going is super awesome, but what ultimately kind of led me to reach out to you and have this conversation is how you approach memberships and your kind of viewpoint there. Can you tell us more about that membership-based approach that you guys are exploring?
Yeah, so I think that, to clarify, we have two forms of memberships. And one is our enrollment program. So people who bring their dogs to daycare here have a choice of either doing enrollment or drop-in. And I think that a lot of facilities call that membership. We call membership something different. But to start with, they can enroll, which means that it works like children's daycare. Their dog gets a weekly spot or spots. They pay $13 a day less to enroll, but there is a commitment. So if they don't show up 1 week, if there's a snowstorm, if they're on vacation, they still pay. One fee for the week comes out every Monday morning. which is a huge benefit to us because it's predictable, sustainable income. They can unenroll at any time, but then it's 3 months before they can enroll again. So it really creates that predictable income. And it also allows us to be a lot clearer on how much staff we're going to need in advance, which was one of the big problems in the beginning. We were always overstaffing or understaffing. This gives us probably about 70% on a daily basis of predictable dogs and predictable income.
Yeah, that's fantastic and super helpful.
Yeah, super helpful. And it also really benefits the dogs because that means that on any day, 70% of the dogs are here the same day every week. So they have friend groups, they have besties, the parents get to know each other. So there is this relational continuity and sort of community building that happens with that. Then we also have what we call a membership program, which is a tiered set of bonuses that people get if they pay on a monthly basis. So like we have our top tier is Top Dog. It's $150 a month. They get like extra perks. They get anytime drop off. So no late fees or early drop off fees. They get a whole bunch of perks. And then we have one lower, which is called Lucky Pup, which has a little less perks and is $100 a month. And then we have a priority scheduling membership level, which all they get is to get to go to the front of the line. And that we often use for our solo dogs. We have a solo dog program, which often has a wait list. So those parents will pay $50 a month just to get to jump the line when they need a solo spot.
Heck yeah. I mean, that's one of the biggest things for most pet care facilities. It's like when you need it, you want to be able to go to your tried and true location that you love. And so having that priority opportunity that's huge for many people. I mean, there's a lot that goes into putting those memberships and those tiers together. Like, what was your process in deciding how you build those tiers, what benefits each tier might get, and what's included? How do you think through that?
So I have a little bit of a business background. Before this, we opened the Barkyard, I owned a women's business consulting service, which I had for about 15 years, helping women use grassroots marketing to grow their heart-centered businesses. So this is kind of where I geek out. And one of the things that was most important for me to learn was that you never want to assume what your clients want. You want to ask them. It's so easy to just ask them, what do you want? If I created a membership program, what would be perks that would be really important to you? So I didn't guess on any of this. I threw out a couple of surveys. I talked to our parents. I learned what was most important for them. And then I literally built the membership packages around what they said they wanted. And we've tweaked them a little bit over the last, I think we've had them up for about a year. But they are what the parents said they wanted.
I was going to ask, what types of adjustments did you make? So you roll out your initial offering. You think you probably hit it right, nail on the head, right? And then you get the feedback. What tweaks maybe happened initially?
So one of the tweaks, I think I was operating from a little bit of fear and I really wanted to justify the prices and I threw in a whole bunch of extra stuff. And because it was stuff that I wanted to be less labor intensive, so we would have a bigger profit margin, most of it was food related items, treats, bully sticks, etc. And one of the bits of feedback that we got was that it was too much food. Like the parents didn't want their dogs coming here and getting 3 different treats a day. And that was just from my and you can have this, and you can have this, and you can have this. So we did scale that back. And I think now we only have 1 treat a day with some optional other things. But I took a lot of the food related things out of it. I think the other thing that I think we took out was, no, we didn't. We took out of the middle packages grooming. So we were throwing in a free bath and a couple of other free things. And we got some feedback that was an awful lot and there wasn't as much incentive. You want the highest package to be you want people to look at it and be like, why wouldn't I just buy that highest package? So we took the grooming out of the middle package and it's only in the higher package.
So what maybe operational hurdles come with servicing these memberships or even launching the membership program?
The biggest oppositional hurdle is pet exec. Pet exec which is what we're using until we move over to Goose, which we're just almost holding our breath for at this point. Pet exec has no way to set these up. So what has to happen is that when we have a membership program, we have to, basically everything has to be manual. I have to go in and I know that these 5 dogs are Top Dogs. So I have to schedule their daily treat. I have to schedule their none of it can be automated. And that's been I don't do it anymore. One of our staff members does it, but it's annoying. We forget, balls get dropped, and occasionally a parent will be like, oh my gosh, I didn't get my top dog bath this month. Like, do I really want to pay for this? Because we forgot to set it up or they forgot to ask us. So the biggest hurdle has really been tech.
Any other stories about membership models that really didn't live up? Like you tested something and it didn't work, or how other stories that you hear about? Have you talked to other locations, that other businesses that are doing memberships?
Yeah, Scouts Honor is doing a really great one. And at this point now, you actually have to be a member to even have daycare services, which makes it a little more exclusive. It makes the membership obviously not optional. If you want daycare, you need to be a member. One of the changes that I'm thinking of making is just dropping the price on them a little bit. They are really expensive and they don't include any of the daycare. So I might experiment with dropping the prices. Our membership program has not been as successful as I want. Our enrollment program has been amazing, but I think that I can drop the price a little bit and make them feel a little bit more accessible. I also think that one of the things that I've learned is that you really have to understand what each thing that you're putting in is costing you in terms of labor. We actually had help from Lori Davis of My Reservation Specialist, and she went through all of our offers and taught us that we want everything to have a 30% labor percentage. And a lot of the things that we were offering for free were much higher than that. So she really helped us figure that out with this amazing magical spreadsheet that she has. But you really want to consider, is what you're adding actually costing you more labor? And that's been something that we've had to definitely get smarter about, because we have what the parents say they want. Like they would all love free training. Well, training is one of our highest labor costs because we actually need our certified trainers doing it. So we have to be careful about which perks we offer for that, since we only have 4 certified trainers on staff right now.
Operationally, you have to kind of ensure that you can deliver this thing that you created.
Yes.
And do it efficiently and effectively. We often see, things look good on paper. We're actually doing another session on crafting compelling offers and like building things that you can sell, but it's a fine marriage of not just dreaming it up and not creating something that looks great, but your team has to be able to deliver it. And I think that is a key to kind of marrying the marketing, the sales, and the operation all together in a way that works.
Exactly. Like one of our perks at one point was bedtime cuddles for boarding dogs, which is lovely and everybody wants them, but they're actually really labor intensive because we do them in our staff break room where we have like a big couch and fluffy pillows. So that takes about 15 or 20 minutes for a staff member to do at the end of the day after last walks when we have the least amount of staff. So we really had to realize that we either need to add a whole other staff person just to do bedtime cuddles, or we need to limit the amount of bedtime cuddles that we can actually offer. So that was just sort of like a little bit of a tweak, because I think that in the beginning, my impulse was, what can I throw out there that feels so valuable to the parents that they're going to want to buy it? And you really have to be more in the middle of, yes, what do the parents value so much that they'll spend this money? And what can we, with deep integrity deliver fully without costing us a lot more in labor?
Absolutely. You had mentioned enrollment. The enrollment program that you do is actually working out really well. Can you describe that a little bit more? Is that like an automation of a package, a reoccurring package that's kind of on autopilot?
Yes. So we have parents that can enroll for anywhere. We have people who do 1 day a week. I think we have 4 or 5 people whose dogs are actually here 5 days a week. It's just a package that was easy to set up in Pet Exec, and I think it will be even easier in Goose. But that is just a reoccurring package. They get charged. I think it goes through at 4 a.m. every morning. A big chunk of money hits our bank account. Those dogs are set for the week. And then, we upsell little treats and stuff during the day so that they're still paying something on day of, or they're doing agility, or, we have so many different enrichment offers. So there's still money coming in day of. But I would say Actually, looking at the numbers, probably about 70% of our dogs are enrolled at this point because we made a bigger price difference. It used to be only a $5 difference between enrollment and drop-in, and that really wasn't that enticing to people. But as we started to sell out of spots, and now some days people don't get a drop-in when they want it, and we increased the price difference to $13 a day, which seems to be a nice sweet spot, people really would rather enroll.
What percentage is that? So, and you don't have to do it on the fly, but what is your drop-in rate versus the enrollment rate?
Monday through Friday, we're probably at about 70% enrollment rate and, 30% drop in.
Apologies, let me clarify the price difference between if you're just drop-in.
Gotcha. It's $13 a day. So we have 3 different daycare. We actually have more. We have 4 different daycare programs. The difference, so like straight daycare is $55 a day enrollment and $68 drop-in. Hybrid, which is half a day of daycare and half a day of mental enrichment, is $75/$88. And then the solo dog is $85/$98 a day.
Gotcha. Okay. So you feel like that difference kind of encourages people to do the enrollment versus the spot rate that we kind of...
It feels like it's a price where they are encouraged to do the drop-in, but I'm sorry, encouraged to do the enrollment, but they're not discouraged from dropping in. Like, I don't have anybody say, and I'm sure we've lost customers since we've done that price increase, but we don't have people who say, oh, I really want my dog to drop in, but I can't afford 98 versus 85 or 68 versus 55. Like, it still seems to be in the, doable for people.
Gotcha. So one other thing that you just touched on that's been a topic of a conversation from other locations inquiring about the Goose membership module that we've recently rolled out is, how do you, and you hit on it, but I want maybe a little more color. Somebody's enrolled in an automated enrollment. They're coming X number of days a week. What's your approach on maybe bumping each visit on the enrichment and hitting them with just a incremental upsell during those stays?
Yeah, so we've done really, really well selling our non-straight daycare programs. Here are a couple of my sales pitches. The first one is that it is a misconception that all dogs are innately extroverted. Dogs exist on a spectrum of introversion to extroversion, just like humans. And for many dogs, especially if you have a facility where it's all day play, for many dogs, having other dogs in their face 8 to 10 hours a day, even if they are dog social, is too much. And it can create behavior issues. It can create dogs that age out of daycare. It can create anxiety. So we like to say that a blend of social and physical play and mental enrichment and one-on-one time with humans gives you that tired and happy dog at the end of the day, not a tired and stressed dog at the end of the day. We also use examples like, we're sort of the difference between dropping your kid off to play in a big inner city schoolyard all day long and bringing them to like a cool camp where they have different activities and they're learning and doing archery. We've compared it to big school versus Montessori or Waldorf model for the people with educational backgrounds. But, essentially, we'll use it as saying, this is something that we've noticed can make your dog's day a lot better. Like, we've noticed that by 2:00 in the afternoon, that last play group, they're by the fence, they're not wanting to play. What if we tried agility or a herding ball session? So we don't really get resistance to the enrichment because of the way that we pitch it. It's about the dog, and we're also never disingenuous about that. If we have a lot of dogs who will happily play all day, we don't push enrichment necessarily for those dogs. We'll say, would you like to add a herding ball session or agility or a puzzle game, a puzzle session? But for the dogs who we know it's going to make a difference in their day, we will absolutely frame it that way and, reference what we're seeing and how we think adding some enrichment time will help them.
Makes sense. So at the end of the day, you're really trying to curate the individual visit for each pet based on their preferences.
Exactly. And that's part of our model too. We are very dog centric. And because we have small groups of dogs, we're really able to cater to individual needs. And I forget if I said this in the beginning, but when we first built the model for the Barkyard, we actually were going to do just all play. And then we heard a podcast with Allison from Scouts Honor, who does the enrichment model. And we were like, this is brilliant. This makes so much more sense than just having dogs in a big group playing all day. So we switched it mid build to create an enrichment model because it just made so much more sense. And I really think it's where daycare is going. I know others, Fern has said this, Dom has said this. This is where daycare is going.
Yeah, I think pet parents can certainly appreciate that very much too. Well, this is awesome. I really appreciate the conversation. As you know, we have our daycare, our membership model rolling out very soon. Actually, it's already out, but we're going to make the consumption improvement of where you can actually kind of put that enrollment on autopilot and determine how many visits are happening each and every week, and completely automate that entire process for you. The other aspect of the membership module that's super helpful is the member non-member pricing, as you kind of explained to that you're currently doing today. But we've seen other facilities getting a lot of value out of that too, and it's interesting, right? It's people like to belong to something, and it really drives loyalty to a particular business. So it's kind of a win-win on both sides, I think.
Yeah, agree. I mean, we see this model everywhere else. We see it with airlines and supermarkets and, this model of belonging and getting special things. And I think, honestly, that the daycare industry is even a little behind. Now we're catching up quickly, but this is something that works for many other industries, and people respond really well to it.
Yeah, I don't want to give away too many of my vices, but I went into Crumble Cookie the other day, and on their big screen, they have people picking up their orders, and next to the names is the status, and you're either like a silver, gold, platinum, and so you walk in and you see everybody's status, and I can kind of envision maybe something like that in our pet care world, where people are coming and going, dropping off their dog, and if you can visibly show somebody their status, I mean, people kind of like status, and I belong at this level, and it's kind of a neat concept.
Yeah, that's really cool. That is a really cool concept. And I would agree. I mean, look at all the exclusive things. We just joined the Delta Sky Miles Club because we get free food when we go to the airport. Like humans like this stuff, and we see that. So I think it's great that Goose is considering this, because I don't know any other software that I've heard of that is really aware of that, and really looking at what other industries are doing and how we can, pick some of the best pieces and build them into the daycare industry.
Absolutely. I think there's lots of cool things on the horizon, and can't wait to continue to you be a part of it and along the journey. So super excited for that.
Yeah, same.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time today, and much more to come. So we'll have more of these and hopefully invite you on again.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.